This is Living Power with Dan Hurst.
This is really critical to understand. Man's way of thinking is that he can earn his way to heaven. I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about mankind in general. His idea is that he can earn his way into heaven. Man thinks that if he's good enough, if he does enough good things, if he doesn't do bad things, if he practices good karma, if he kills enough infidels, that he'll get into heaven. But Jesus very clearly says that eternal life in heaven is reserved for those whom he authorizes. He knew his responsibility. He knew it was his job. That is what he was here for. To open the door for those who wanted to spend eternity with the Father. And Jesus makes a very powerfully descriptive statement here. Verse 3, "And this is eternal life, that they know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent." You see, this is really important to understand. Eternal life comes from knowing God. It doesn't come from doing all of these good things. It doesn't come from accomplishing something in your life. It doesn't come because you've fulfilled certain laws. It comes from knowing God. Not knowing about Him, not just knowing His teachings, not being a member of any particular church, not obeying the law of God. Eternal life comes from knowing and having a personal, dynamic, real relationship with God as a result of knowing Him. Think about that. What was Jesus saying? It wasn't about what you do, it was about the relationship that you have with God. It was about knowing God. So here's the question. Do you know God, or are you faking it? Are you connected to God in an interactive, life dynamic relationship, or are you playing games? You've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be honest about this. Are you really knowing God? Do you know God, or are you faking it? And of course, the way you get to know God is by spending time with Him. You get into His Word, you discover Him, ask Him to reveal Himself, however He chooses to do so. The more time you spend with Him, the more you'll know Him. Don't let anything else become a substitute for that. Be very, very careful about that. Going to church, listening to Christian music, hanging out with Christian friends, reading books by Christian authors, and on and on and on. Those all have their place. But if you want to know God, you have to spend time with God. So, if you want eternal life, you have to know God. You don't have to know the church. You have to know God. You don't have to know good works. You have to know God.
On behalf of Dan Hurst and the Open Class, we want to thank you for watching. We hope it was a blessing.